really a big one was, it's not just about a tool, right? AI is not just something that, you pick up and you start using and that's enough. It should really be done in the reverse direction of start with your client journey. Just think about every single interaction you have with your clients, from the first introduction email from maybe a realtor to maybe it never ends because you're always staying in touch with them. But at the very least, to closing the deal, getting that finalized, them doing their first payment, and then whatever happens after that, which hopefully is a lot if you got a good CRM setup. But long story short is look at that whole client journey and then start looking at, really there's two things. I always talk about pain points, which I still think is the first place to start, because whether it's your pain points, your client's pain points, because solving pain is ultimately the best way to, I think, apply technology. So, painkillers are always better than vitamins. That's kind of an old adage. And so I think that's definitely a great place to start, to say, okay, what pains exist? And then how do I alleviate those pains? Is it technology? Is it something like AI? Or maybe it's something else, right? But start in that direction versus saying, hey, I have this new tech tool. I have this new hammer. Start looking for nails. No, you want to start with actually the nails sticking out and then finding the right tool to actually put it in. And maybe it's a screw it. Maybe the screwdriver is the better way to do it. So starting from that direction, starting from your problems. But along with pain points, one thing that came up, which I thought was cool, was just creating memorable moments. And I think this really speaks to being able to find or generate repeat business. I think that a lot of people, when they're talking about professionals that they work with, it's always in the context of a story, right? I think that humans are naturally very good at memorizing stories. If you think about stories that you've maybe told, you're surprised the level of detail you can get into. I think human brains are wired for telling stories way back to our caveman days around the campfire. That's how we passed on traditions and morals and all sorts of things. So without going down that rabbit hole, that was another very interesting point to say, okay, where along that journey can I create memorable moments, a story that this person might tell their friends or their colleagues? And then again, based on those memorable moments, how can I use tech or whatever else to address that? So I think that's pretty exciting. And then the other big theme too is the one that we talk about on this podcast, which is just get started. And this was reiterated to me. Dustin Woodhouse, if you guys know him, came up to me after the panel and said, yeah, really the biggest advantage that brokers have in general is that you can just pick up these tools and start using it. A lot of banks, credit unions, you name it, just like simply can't even. Like my point has always been, oh, it's going to take 6 months and approvals and this and that. His point was, no, because of security, because of these things, they've just been shut down. Like these tools aren't allowed to even be used. And so that just creates a massive advantage, I think, the broker channel has over some of these bigger institutions you might compete against. So the punchline there is just to get started. The best place to get started really is that client journey we talked about. And then I guess the other kind of big point of that is once you find maybe there's multiple pain points, just address one at a time. Don't go after all of them. You're going to get overwhelmed. It's best to just do one at a time.